You do realize this has been talked about to death, right?
Yes. Whatever. Nobody cares.
Jesus, somebody's a little bit nippy today.
Just let me do this one alone, alright?
Wait, didn't you start out as a Storytime animation channel?
No.
Oh my god, do you kiss your James plushie to sleep every night?
It's a collectible!
Wait, since you don't do Storytime videos anymore, what do you do now?
I do commentary now. It's very intelligent.
Wow, there sure is a lot of untread ground on that section of YouTube. Ain't that right, you pseudo-intellectual prick?
Okay, that's enough. My channel, my rules, get out.
Play nice, dumbass.
Where do I even start with this one? Storytime animation is a wildly successful genre on YouTube. I mean, sweet Jesus, look how many views these people are getting. I really enjoy Storytime animation as its own thing because it's actually managed to sustain itself without becoming super oversaturated and clickbaity. Okay, maybe it's a little bit gimmicky, but this does bring up a good discussion. Has Storytime animation become inherently derivative of itself? The script just says good segue, so... I've noticed that a certain demographic of people complain about Storytime animation in an exceedingly similar fashion. So much so that I've actually compiled a small list of criticisms that this group of people tend to make. Number 1. Storytime animators aren't visually different enough from one another. This, of course, is a generalization, but it is a valid one. A lot of Storytime animators are indeed visually similar. You usually get like a round dude with soft outlines and stub hands. Sometimes they got like a shirt or hair. This, of course, isn't always true. I'm actually willing to guess that if you compared a bunch of different Storytime animators, you would be able to pretty easily tell them apart from one another, but I do think that people are mistaking the message for the messenger. More on that later. I do think a good way to combat the sameness of this really dull style is to just add a shit ton of color. Seriously, just pick a color scheme off Google Images and drown your videos in color. It won't make your art style perfect, but it definitely helps. Number 2. Storytime animators encourage an environment of hierarchy culture where the only way to climb the ladder is to imitate. This one is also pretty true from a general standpoint, considering that copying trends in pop culture is pretty much a surefire method to get more attention in every media-related situation. But a lot of these rules for Storytime animation are kind of self-imposed. This becomes a problem because now you've got all these literal children clamoring to be just like their YouTube idols. This inadvertently creates a negative feedback loop that waters down any potential for unique content and makes the landscape really barren for the Storytime animation community. This kind of thoughtless content making should not be reinforced and should be combated by more interesting ideas being pushed to the front lines. Number 3. Storytime animation is lazy in both writing and visuals. Hey, you bad at writing jokes? All you gotta do is flood your script with self-deprecating humor that shoddily hides your desperate need for validation. Don't worry, I'm sure nobody will notice. Okay, what I said could be misconstrued in a lot of ways. Self-deprecating humor is actually really funny when it's sincere. Before you take that out of context, I don't believe you should actually hate yourself. I just think that any jokes that frame yourself as the punching bag should have at least a sliver of meaning attached to it. If you're over-reliant on self-deprecating humor, it's going to backfire and make you look conceited. As for the visual aspect of this argument, I would like to show you something. A vast amount of people consider this art style to be lazy. It may take somewhat less effort to produce, but I do think that this style works for a lot of people. But why is that? Let me show you. The point I was trying to make with that weird segment is that the aforementioned art style only functions correctly if you have the narrating chops to match. This is why the quote-unquote slideshow method works for folks like The Odd Ones Out and Jaden Animations, but not for just some random kid. If you don't have any knowledge about proper inflection or writing style, you end up projecting as a hollow copy of the person you idolize. Whew, okay. People are going to take these quotes out of context. I understand that. But I'd really like you to hear me out for a second. I'm totally okay with children who are trying their best to make good content. Just because they think that copying somebody else is the way to go does not make them bad kids. I'm trying hard to make a difference in this community. I think that it has the potential to be something even greater than it is now, but instead of reinforcing bland and broken stereotypes, we should push creativity and freedom.
You have said Storytime animation way too many times in this video.
God damn it, Kai.